Hi Lewis. um, didn't do much trading this week. Got some filter data from Mark last weekend. Was trying to finally make something that would make sense for me as a system. So there's a couple of trades from Monday because I was able to trade the open. So I traded Monday, which was ALLK. Took this. It was like a secondary trade. I decided like watching it with one eye. Like was low volume. Previous day was a runner. All previous days. So shorted into like high volume days, golden zone level, which was around here. So took the starter, added, and then just was watching how it acts. It did look kind of weak. Volume wasn't really picking up. So I removed my hard stop. Was gonna manage it like manually. This failed breakout as well. So gave me more confidence. Big volume as well. This. So I thought exhausted. So this volume divergence. So I went okay. Covered at all my targets that I wanted. Yeah, that's the trade zero charts messed up. It shows when you put when was the limit set, and so it filled only here. Had it sitting from all the way here and all out here, and then it reverses. So all my targets hit. Quite an okay trade. You could say a little bit early, but yeah, maybe actually earlier. Next, I had on Monday had a little fight with PRPL. This was, I believe, my main trade, main ticker that I was looking to trade. It was a high IO and 80 mil float. So, in hindsight, after doing the research for my afternoon trades, this probably would have been in the basket of no trade or close to no trade. Had pre-market was slow, not many good setups, obviously, and it was one of those that I had a day off or able to trade the open. So I was in the mood that I've got to trade something, find something. There was daily levels at around $4, so that's why I took this. This was a little bit of an emotional, I would say, like just because it got like to four. I had an idea. Okay, if it fails below four, if there's like an offer trap fails below that, so I'm gonna short it. If it hangs above four, it probably can go higher. That was my thesis. So I took this with like a little bit smaller size, but enough. This was enough of a loss, kind of too a little bit too stupid, and actually got top tick cover. Didn't want to figure out how far it can go, but then of course it held at four, gone back under, and as I wanted, basically under $4 somewhere for it to fade. So waited this, didn't take anything here. It just dropped, waited even more. So I waited at least for J lines and this like level as well here. Started there, then at this area where it dumped open level, added some selling, added more, and then I just got it. Regarding the position I had, the pre-market high was too much of a risk, so I just got it at this previous high and restarted. Then smaller position, added on lower high, with selling, added more. Had my targets in mind, none of them really got hit. I still was looking at like this open level and $4. So whenever we got to above $4, I was just looking how it acts. This golden zone as well. How it acts, it's stuffing there, so I added there. Took something off since we still held. Took half off, then added again. So I was like trying to bring my average up. Again, cover small here on the bounce, added more, And this was my idea at this point, was if we break out above this high, which is like 410, 412, I would take half of my position off and re-add on the stuff into pre-market high level, because due to time of day I was kind of expecting new high of day, because that was like some, in regards of what I was looking like last weekend and all this week. So I was expecting maybe like a stuff into new high of day, so I had my finger on a hotkey to cover half here and then add all of it on the stuff with confirmation to take the fade. But it sort of never did, and I took a half off here by like slip of the finger twitch basically. And as I said, like focus is good, tense is not, so I was like really probably like tense, waiting for that initial like push higher so I can take some off and then add higher. So that was like a really mistake. And then took over here in the wash, and then at the close, and then waited a little bit, maybe it's gonna fade now, cover everything. So that was Monday done. And then I basically spent most of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I doing the back testing and trying to figure out about my my system. On Friday, I was trading Friday EVTL. Oh no, 23rd. Yeah, I believe that was Friday. Traded EVTL. So my idea was like after 1 p.m. I trade the new high of day like on 15-minute chart, but I completely messed this up. This was like a passive liquidity here. I'm not sure if it even was extended to 30% at this point, and I tried to make it like a smaller size, but it still was too big, and like this this whole thing was kind of messed up. I'm sure I was pretty distracted like with another trade, and I think I had my charts messed up on a different time frame. So on one time frame somehow it was looking like a decent ad, but then I switched to like back to 1 minute, and it just looks like where am I adding, like literally on a like chase or bad. So this wasn't great, but covered break even. Basically everything covered here on this wash gave me break even. I got out. This was a bit distraction, and not entirely confident in what I'm doing on this one. Next I had LITM. This was actually not bad. Managed to catch this. Was a little bit late on this, but still managed to get a decent. And it wasn't 1 p.m. What I'm looking for is about after 1 p.m. But this was a bit early. But while it gave the stuff, so I took it. I took some and then added more. In hindsight, I should have probably cut break even. Because risking this maybe is a little bit too much of a risk. And in regards, probably the key level was around 340ish, 335, like in this area, 340, let's say. So that's where it failed. That's where it stuffed into that level. So that was like a key level. Don't really want to come test it, so risk just above that. So let's say essentially a 342, no more than that. Just set a risk there, and risk not the wicks high, but the level that it broke and came back under. So yeah, that was a little bit bigger loss than I wanted, but I was managing it manually. So idea was like, okay, stick to the high of day. So literally this risk, and allow to see what it's gonna do over there. But it held this level a little bit here, as you see. but initially, once I saw this rejecting and then this managed to push a little bit higher, I thought, okay, maybe just gonna squeeze more. Once it didn't with sellers, I started position, added here, took half off because I felt added too took too big of a position, so took half off, added higher, had an had a limit order sitting there for my targets, didn't get filled. Hence, I sort of didn't add anything here. I didn't add here as well, like golden zone. Didn't add anything here because I was full position. Didn't get my profit targets as well. Didn't add here because I had my full position. So I just took some off close to the market close, and then was just doing some of the other things by PC. So just looking at one eye at the trade, and then saw it's not gonna go probably lower. So covered everything here, which was, apart from this first trade, maybe I could have managed it better and took a smaller loss on this and just identifying it being stubborn, or actually waiting for per my plan 1 p.m. a high after 1 p.m., which would have been this. Probably would have been less stressful trade. Yeah, so that's that. The IPO we talked, yeah, LITM, UTL. So I think, yeah, it was just that, like, yeah, 4 tickers, few trades. What do we have? Okay, so I didn't do any any tape document this week. I didn't really have much time to trade, and haven't noticed anything that specifically I was too concentrated on actually doing some back tests, and that's what the results would be. Results probably would be a little bit better if I would be counting 9 EMA as a successful setup, but had a had a quick chat with Cody and decided that probably wouldn't count 9 EMA as a successful setup if it hits only 9 EMA. We're talking about 15 minute 15 minute based on 15-minute chat over here. So I have my targets. Well, initially I had this when I started, but I probably no longer count this as a successful setup. I have 20 EMA, 50% fib retracement, 38% fib retracement, and 15-minute J lines. I categorized everything: open extensions, extension from open, not from previous day, but from open. It's mostly based for like lady fade setup as well. A little bit looking at like Jay used to do it, so he used to save 30% from the open minimum extension. So I kept that as a parameter. Floats, IO percentages, and short float. These were the fundamentals I was looking at. So what I got was float based, anything above. So these were the filters. It's roughly about, I think it's close to 50-50, I want to say. Got 70 and 37. So general results almost is like as 50-50 as you can get. Float based, anything above 70 mil and below, no trade. So these were the filters I was trying to use. Then I filtered out 60 mil, above 60 mil float, and under 5 mil floats, so micro floats or nano floats, as in no trades. And I had, no wait, so that's total, I think. Oh yeah, so that's total, and then once filtered, I was left with almost 80 trades, as well with a similar 50-50 distribution between them. And then from filtered ones, so all the tickers above 60 and below 5 were 32, 21, 23. So it did improve filtering out, it did improve the win rate, but not really dramatically. Then I tried another filter, would be filter these by from smallest to highest, and then eliminate everything above 30%. By eliminating everything above 30% IO and higher, I was left with 97 trades. So filtering IO rather than float leaves me with a little bit more trades and a little bit better distribution to the win side than purely 50%. And from filtered setups, so the ones that above 30% IO, also a good distribution of identifying more losses. So my conclusions were filtering IO seems to return better results. High IO and high float seems to be the most common headaches. Float under 5 mil also needs to be need to be aware of or super patient. What I meant by high IO and high float seems to be most common headaches is that if we go here, we get the tickers like a NVTA 80% IO, 200 mil float, and it just literally didn't give me. Kept making a new high of days throughout the day. So it's like an account blower. Yeah, as we see, so mine would be after 1 p.m. I would be looking for new high of day. So probably start here somewhere. So you get stopped out once, and you probably get another one, then another one, and it just keeps on going. 250% extension. So we in the same one we've got another one. What was it? Float 70, 17, 180 and 65. There's another one. Just kept going up. What else do we have? SLQT. This was maybe gave a trade. Kind of did, but it just like a headache tickers. 40% and 100 something. What do we have? CLVS as well. This kept on going higher. So back to results. Yeah. The thing was, it's on its own. It's not really that bad float. Yeah, they can be tradable, but if there's two parameters on the same ticker, like high IO, high float, or micro float, or high short float, because I did the short float, filtered anything above 10% short float, and didn't really see much difference in filtering. Yeah, maybe it filtered out more losing trades. Little pointless as a note, a little pointless filter, but does put most non-trades basket full of high float and high IO tickers. So maybe there's a correlation with anything. All the high IO and high float tickers have higher percentage short float. So it kind of analyzed the book, the basket that was left in these, the no trades that was filtered, and most of them were high float, high IO tickers. So if I do this, so we go. So once we start going above 10%, we see the IO gets bigger on them, and float as well as above 60, 200, 140, 160, and we've got some just with a kind of high short float but decent enough IO and float, which which was mostly Rev, which is I think liquidated by now. Results maybe a little bit. I'm not sure. I couldn't pull because RDBX I think is already delisted or completely liquidated, so I couldn't pull some data. I couldn't get data on it at all. So it may have been affected a little bit as well, the stats. Um, so key takeaway: IO above 30, either leave it alone or trade accordingly, and any combination of IO and extreme float, expect fuckery and save mental capital. Other than that, I've also tried to filter out by time of day, when the new high of day is being made. So between 1 and 2 seems to be the best because we've got better than 50%. So the earlier it seems the better because I don't know, maybe they get enough time to give you fades for 50% retracement and bigger fades. And then it seems like the edge is just diminishing, while anything from 3 to 4 seems to be more on a losing side. From the whole list, there was 19 tickers that wouldn't been just account drain. That would have been just an account drain. So basically, it's your I think EVTL or the ones that just keeps on going basically. So like mental cap and account drains. You can short, re-short, and it just keeps stopping you out. So those were 8 of them had 2 out of 3 float, short float or high IO parameters. 2 out of 3 above acceptable levels. And you could say that's potentially 8 of them. So if we start making new high of day at 1 p.m, we can be on 15-minute. We can be making what 4 new high of days, and if shorting every single one of them that we're talking about, we eliminating already around 20-25 trades just by avoiding these the ones that meet 2 out of 3 of float, short float and IO acceptable levels. 5 of the of these 19 tickers were fit the A plus fundamental filters, which would be low float, not low float, but float, below 30 mil or below 50 mil. No significant short float and very low IO. So 5 of them fit those parameters, but didn't give a winning trade and just kept on going up. Not much to distinguish. Also tried to had a look, have all the, as you can see, have all the charts hyperlink here. So I was trying to identify when the trade is given, what was the signal. Would it be like a volume blowout or volume divergence? And try to filter by those, but didn't notice any significant difference in terms. It's quite 50-50 distribution between the entries. And I couldn't find any for them to be tied to either float or IO or short float. It seems that this is just like completely random distribution, not in no connection with the float or short float or IO. So mostly I still need to do on its lower time frames, see the entries on the lower time frames. I'll try to find some time to do that. And what I want to check as well is this distances. Can I draw here? Distances. No, I don't know. When they're making new high of day, so one is check the distance above of high of day above previous high of day, the extension. So would be from here, extension from here to here on all of these to check how much on average do they extend when they make a new high of day before they fail, and check on a lower time frame, check the charts for patterns for entries. So the key takeaway is after re-watching all the charts a couple times, like looking at them on figured out that okay, key point is to let the 15 minute make a new high of day and let that candle close. So only once it breaks the high of day, makes a new high of day and closes, then react to the following 15-minute candle. Once that opens, look at on a lower time frame, tape level 2 patterns to identify the best entry and what it's gonna do. Usually don't chase, because if 15-minute that made new high of day is super wicky, so EVTL, what was that, LINT, I think this one. So basically like this, because it's closes like super wiki. So after rewatching all the charts, usually what we get is a golden zone rejection on the same 15-minute. So would say something like for a can't remember now a good example. But idea is not to chase this. If it's let it close. So once it closes, then see how the next reacts, and if it's really high of the candle that made high of day in the 15-minute chart looks like this, it's very skewed risk to jumping in there, and usually wait for like golden zone rejection to enter. So I'm guessing it was somewhere around here, based on the highs. So at this level, you can start looking, but then it just makes a new high and fails. Yeah, never chase on the first 15-minute that made new high of the day. Save myself some headache and just let it close, and then if it's wiki, wait for golden zone rejection. If no, then no. And yeah, often that not will give golden zone rejection. Wait for that kind of. Yeah, that's kind of a thing I'm trying to put now into trading, and it kind of will give me a little bit more filtering my trades, hopefully, and a little bit more patience, since I will know what I'm looking for, and especially the time of day after 1 p.m. Maybe avoid trades after 2 p.m. since the stats show so. Not much edge in there, at least based on the high of day trades. And also at some point I wanna try to reverse engineer these whole trades that didn't give the outcome that I wanted. So I mark these. These I think are like 19 tickers. So somehow reverse engineer what common do they have. So again, same thing. Maybe if I'm gonna see a very high float, added some short float and IO. Maybe I'll just gonna start looking at those in the afternoon to take them long. Oh, it was here. Maybe look to take them long. Oh, there's CLVS as well, same parameters. So maybe after the same 1 p.m. if we dip, we reclaim, and in the afternoon take it long. Or but that's just gonna need work, yeah. So most of the week I basically spent only getting all this data in and trying to extract something useful from it. I think I'll keep it. I'll keep already 30 minutes. It's don't want to take too much of your time. So yeah, have Have a good rest of your weekend and catch you next week. Thanks.